What's the hardest lesson you had to learn the hard way?
I'm not sure if it's the hardest lesson or it's just a lesson, but I think it's an important lesson, right? I think, um, and I mentioned this earlier that every decision you make is on you, right? It's that extreme ownership. The sooner you take accountability for your life and the decisions you make, the better your life will be. Um, I think when you decide that you're gonna own everything and stop playing victim, right? And stop thinking, well, this is happening to me because this guy doesn't like me, because this happened to me. And you start owning it and you start accepting that the decisions you made put you in this situation, the better your life will be. And here's the reality. And here's maybe the lesson is that if every decision I made put me where I am and I don't like where I am, the good thing is I can start making decisions to change that, right? If I'm a victim and I act like I don't control the things that happen to me by the decisions and the actions I took, then I can't change them, right? That's a mindset thing, but I'll be stuck in that victimhood. But if I accept that every decision I made put me where I am right now and I don't like where I am, then I can change that by making better decisions. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, I think you get a lot of perspective on that once you're put in those leadership roles, right? Because when you're the lower guy, you tend to think like that kind of victim mindset of, oh, this person's doing this to me. But then you get in that leadership role and you kind of just see how as a leader you don't really have a personal vendetta against anybody feel or feel the need to go out of your way to do something to somebody, and you start realizing that maybe I was being treated that way because of what I
Yeah.
was doing, right?
Yeah, because of what you were doing or because it needed to be done, right? The one thing, as I rose up in the ranks at the police department, I got a better understanding of why we did certain things, right? I think that's why as a leader, it's sometimes we feel like we shouldn't have to explain to the people we lead, but when you can, you should, right? There's autocratic leadership and democratic leadership. Autocratic leadership is like in your case, you're on the battlefield. There's not a whole lot of time to explain why something needs to be done or why you're telling somebody to do it. But when you're back at the barracks and you have some time to reflect, or in our case, like you're back in muster, that's when it's time to be a democratic leader where you can explain, hey, this is why we do it, right? One silly example was as a midnight patrolman, they would ask us to go out and count the street lights that are out. And I always thought, like, what are we doing this for? Is this some kind of punishment? What did I do wrong that I have to count street lights are out? But then I find out as a lieutenant that there's a reason we do that we make these reports to PSE&G so that they can fix the lights. And so there's a reason for it. Doesn't necessarily make the job any more fun, but when you know there's a reason behind it and why you're doing it, it's easier to do, right? So I was never explained that. It was just the supervisors I had were very autocratic, right? Hey, go out and do this. And you didn't know if you were, like I said, am I being punished? Like, why am I doing this? But when you explain, and it's a little easier to accept. So I think, I totally lost my train of thought, but yeah, I think that's important that as you rise up, you start to understand a little bit more why we do things. And um, I think from a leadership standpoint, it's important when you can to explain those things.
Yeah, that's what Sir calls your with him. What's in it for me? He's done a good job of it, and those below him, like myself, have been able to implement that into things because we deal with that a lot in the Marine Corps too. Just doing a lot of things that seem pointless or stupid, but there's always a reason why behind what we're doing.
Yeah. It gives you buy-in too. Like I like that. What's in it for me? It sounds like a little selfish, right? Maybe, but it's not. It gives it when people know why they're doing it or what's in it for them or what's the benefit of it. Maybe it's not even what's in it for you, but what's the benefit to the group? It gives you buy-in to doing those things. So again, whenever you can explain that, it's important.